others of those from Cilicia and Asia stood up and argued with Stephen, but they could not withstand the wisdom and spirit with which he spoke. Then they secretly instigated some men to say, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God." They stirred up the people as well as the elders and the scribes. Then they suddenly confronted him, seized him, and brought him before the council. They set up false witnesses who said, "This man never stopped saying things against the holy place of the Lord. For we have heard him say that Jesus of Nazareth will destroy the place and will change the custom that Moses handed unto us." And all who sat on the council looked intently at him, and they saw that his face was like the face of an angel. Dear brothers and sisters in the Lord, this brings us to our topic of today, that grace will lead you home. Grace will lead you home. If humility has opened to you doors, and the doors is open, you are now standing between the open doors. There's one thing that you need, and that thing is grace. Grace is the only thing that leads us home. Grace is the only thing that leads us to our destiny. Grace is the only thing that protects us, that guards us against all the false accusation. What is grace? Grace is unmerited favor. Unmerited favor means we don't deserve to have grace, but God gave it to us for free. We were all sinners. We are all sinners. But by grace, we are saved. Therefore, dear brothers and sisters in the Lord, we are reflecting on how grace leads us home. How does grace lead Stephen home? Stephen was one of the disciples that were appointed. Stephen was full of grace. When the number of disciples were increasing and the apostles were few, then the elders, they sat down. They said, "We need people to help, to advance this gospel, to make sure that these disciples get the clear teaching." Then among the community where they were, they chose the 7 people, and Stephen was among them. Stephen was full of grace. Stephen had favor from God. How did he have favor? Stephen had favor from God because he was walking rightly with God. You can never have God's grace. You can never have favor of God upon you unless you are walking rightly with God. Check yourself now. How are you walking with God? Are you still living in sin? Do you still have something in your heart that you're ready to remove? Is there a grudge that you have that is holding you down from God's grace? Is it your education that is holding you down from the grace of God? Is it your career? Is it your parents? Is it your tradition? Is it your culture that you don't want to let go so that God's grace can lead you home? What do you have in your heart that you are not letting go to let God's grace comes to you? For us to allow God's grace to work for us, we have to be righteous. If you are righteous, then God's grace will lead you home. How? Number one, God's grace will lead you home by giving you a good understanding. God's grace will fill your heart and give you wisdom. We see here when Stephen, they saw that Stephen had a good understanding. His faith was good. His walk with God was right. Then God's favor came upon him and he was selected among the 7 people who are supposed to continue with the work of the apostle. You too can be chosen to do God's work. You too could have favor. In whatever you do, if you do it rightly, you have a good understanding of God, God's favor will be on you and you will be selected among the best. Number 2, if God's favor is on us, we shall be able to do wonders and miracles. People will not believe how you are advancing in life. People will just say, is this the person that we saw last time? They could not believe. You will be doing miracles and wonders. Some people will be just wondering that I remember I saw this person somewhere, but now the person is far. Why? Because the grace of God is on you. Once you have the grace of God with you, I assure you, my brothers and sisters, you will be like Stephen. You will be doing miracles and wonders. Jesus Christ, he had favor. He had grace. That is why he was able to heal the sick, the blind. He was able to heal. He was even able to restore life that was lost. Lazarus was raised because Jesus Christ had grace. Therefore, as Christians, make sure you walk rightly with God so that the grace of God seals you to do miracles and wonders. The next thing that will make the grace to take us home is grace will change the way you look in the eyes of your accusers. People will accuse you, like Stephen. He did not do anything wrong, but because he has good understanding, he was filled with the Holy Spirit and wisdom from God. And the word he was speaking, those people, the scribes, the accusers could not withstand him. So they had to bring false accusation. They said this man was talking blasphemy. He was talking against God. He was saying that Jesus said he's going to destroy this place that Moses has built, has handed over to us, and built it in 3 days. Remember, they said 3 days, which means that was symbolizing Jesus Christ's death and resurrection. So it was showing that Jesus Christ was going to come and Jesus Christ was going to undergo the same way. So Stephen was a symbolic symbol showing that Jesus Christ was going to undergo the same. In the same way, we as Christians, we are going to go the same. You have many accusers. Sometimes they can accuse you of something that you have not done. They can say, we saw you somewhere. For people who are working, they can accuse you that this lady here, this man here, did this and that. They can even give you a warning letter of which you have not done. For people who are studying, They can accuse you. People in families, you can get accused. In the community where you live, they can bring false accusation on you as a Christian. They can even terminate you. They can even chase you away. They say, we don't want this guy. Others, they say, no, I can no longer be your friend. False accusation. Like they did to Stephen. You have to know how to overcome. You overcome it by grace. When you have grace, all those accusations, all those false things will never touch you, my brothers and sisters. I assure you that it will never touch you if you have God's grace. If you're walking rightly with God. Stephen, they accused him. But because he had grace, those scribes, those people in the Sanhedrin council, those were the elite people, the people who say they know the law of Moses, the people who have studied books, they have read books, they know everything in the law. So when they sent Stephen before them, when they were seeing Stephen, they were looking at him as an angel. Why? His look, grace of God, changed the look of Stephen in their eyes. They could not see Stephen, but they were looking at an angel. Why? Because of grace. Grace has sealed Stephen and has changed even the way he looked. Christians, dear brothers and sisters from all over the world, have grace. Move with grace. Move in the direction that pleases God. Then you will see how grace will take you. Every day I wake up, when I pray, I say, God, I thank you because you woke me up. But Lord, I don't know how the day will be. Give me your grace. That is enough. Then God will say, okay, my son, don't worry. My daughter, don't worry. I will be with you. Then you will see things happening in your life in the way you don't expect. Once we leave the grace of God, we shall not reach home. Once we don't allow grace to protect us, we don't leave heaven. The Israelites, all the time they are walking with God, they are righteous before God. God do wonders with them. The Red Sea was opened. Manna was sent from heaven. Water came out of the rock. But immediately they started going back to worship idols. God's grace withdrew from them. And what happened? They started to suffer. God sent them. God always bring enemies against them. The Amalekites, the Canaanites, were fighting them, will kill them. Why? Because grace of God was lost. When they reached even the promised land, they started turning against God. Then God said, okay, no problem. I will remove my grace from you and see where you're going to go. What happened? God brought the Babylonians. They set all Israelites in captivity in Babylon. They suffered there and led slavery. Why? Because God's grace left them. The same like you and me. Once we make God's grace to leave us, we shall suffer. I assure you, you will suffer if you make God's grace to leave you. Walk rightly with God to avoid suffering. Israelites, they suffered in Babylon until the time when they repented and God said, yes, I'm going to bring back my grace to you because now you are walking in the way that I want. Then God brought a new prophet, Nehemiah, said, okay, lead my people out. All those was preparing us to salvation. That shows that it is only by grace that can lead us home. It is only grace that can lead us to heaven. Stephen, in chapter 7, verse 54, when they were stoning him, after they have now said, okay, this man should be stoned, what happened? Because Stephen was still full of grace. Acts chapter 7, verse 54 through to 60. Stephen said, heaven opens. He looked up, and what did he see? He saw Jesus Christ seated at the right hand of God. Why? Which means Stephen was not feeling this human pain. He was already in spirit. And heaven opens to him. He saw Jesus Christ seated at the right hand of God. And what next? He said, before he died, he said, Lord, don't count this sin upon them, because they don't know what they are doing. Those are all grace, my brothers and sisters. The same way, all those things that were happening was all pointing to Christ. You remember Jesus Christ on the cross? When he was about to die, what did he say? Heavens also opens. And what happened? He said, Father, I give you my spirit. Forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing. So all these are symbolic symbols that grace is the only thing that can take us home. You cannot reach your destiny without grace. You cannot reach your destiny without grace. Therefore, as Christians who are trying to walk with God, I encourage you to be righteous before God every day, so that God's grace do not leave